Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Cloudy with a Chance of Awesome. It's great to be in front of everybody again. Ben, it is great to be joined with you. How are you, my friend? It's Tuesday.
Yes, doing good. I feel like every day's a Monday at this point, but with that
Right.
being said, it's because things are busy, so I'll take it any day.
That's right. It's always the beginning of the year. We got a lot of customers that we're meeting with and aligning on that roadmap for the next 12 months. It's an exciting time. I love it, but it definitely keeps you busy. So I'm happy we were able to hop on and get an episode in today. This is a forecast episode, so if you're first time joining us here, the forecast episodes are usually 15 to 20 minutes if everything runs to plan. These are quick doses of topics that we think yourself, the viewers, will find a lot of interest in. These topics are usually formulated around things that Ben and I are hearing across customer discussions that we're like, hey, this is coming up a lot. Let's have a forecast episode to discuss very quickly. But Ben, before we get into anything, I got to ask you, what are you drinking today?
Yeah, so right after this, hopefully I can get my workout in. So I have been drinking
Nice.
the cherry limeade Ghost. I know you kind of went the
Oh,
Celsius
we're
route.
back on it. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. If the viewers know, last episode I was on the Celsius. Today I'm actually on something new. So I was at CVS yesterday, and I found a Red Bull Grapefruit Blossom that I had. It's a purple can, zero sugar, pretty good. This is a lower dose of caffeine, but I really enjoyed the flavor. So I've been drinking that today. To our viewers on YouTube, you see I have a cup here that are watching us on video, but I'm drinking that today. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 rating, but it won't pass Ghost for me. I just can't let it do it. But
Okay, but
that's
still you piqued my interest. I may have to check that
yeah,
one out.
we might
Perfect.
have to. And Ben, we just saw each other too. You were just over in DC where I am. We actually sat down with the Avahi team and did a really good session of just brainstorming ways to work with our customers. And we'll probably touch on a few of those ways today in the episode. So, Ben, I'll lay a little bit of the discussion today and what we have planned, and then we could dive on into things. So, today we're going to be talking a little bit more in depth around Bedrock, more or less focused on what Bedrock is bringing to the table for our customers, what our customers have enjoyed thus far, and potentially ways that you need to start thinking when you're looking at using Bedrock, whether that's choice of model, having this multi-provide platform, if you're looking more on like the pay per use model. These are all things that we'll cover today in discussion. And of course, we have a special guest today who are really go in depth on those topics exactly. So, Ben, I'm excited for this one.
Yes, I'm very excited as well. I feel like this topic or theme of AI comes up so often, but it's because this space is evolving so quickly, right? So even though we talk about it so much, there's been so many updates. I feel like, in the last, what, 3, 4 months since we had a episode. So I love the forecast format. I know a lot of folks are liking it as well, just short, sweet, to the point. So with that being said, I do want to bring in one of the AI specialists that I work very closely with, a vast expertise helping a lot of my customers really navigate the changes and the different items that, customers really want to do when they start navigating and using new technologies like Bedrock. So, with that being said, Nashita, feel free to jump on and give a quick introduction.
Hi, yeah, thank you, Ben and Hayden, for having me. So I'm Nashita. I'm a data scientist slash AI engineer at Avahi. Been here for about 9 months now, straight out of my undergrad from San Jose State University with my degree in applied math. So yeah, I've been in the Bay Area my whole life, really got to see all these innovations and how fast-paced this industry is firsthand.
Absolutely. Nishita, thank you for joining us. So, Ben and I prepared a couple questions that will kind of outline this discussion. The first one I want to start off with, and I alluded to this, is we are seeing more and more customers start to leverage Bedrock, begin to test it out. I'm curious from your side, when you're working with customers, and you mentioned you're 9 months into the role, but I can imagine you're already seeing trends start to take place. Can you discuss a little bit around these trends and what you're seeing from the Avahi side or just in general when talking to customers with Bedrock?
Yeah, no, so in my 9 months here, I've already seen so many things. We work with many customers with diverse use cases. And I think the top two that I've seen are agents and chatbots, especially after reInvent. The idea of agents that I think is so appealing to businesses is the fact that it can multitask and really take care of those manual works that I feel like a lot of people just don't want to do. I mean, it's about optimization, right? That's like the business holy grail. So Yeah, agents, and then we have chatbots. I think another thing about businesses is they really want to be able to interact with their data. They want their customers to be able to interact with their data. So that's a big thing as well. It provides quick fixes to business needs. Yeah, and then some other ones that I've been seeing definitely are entity extraction, um, data masking, medical scribing for the healthcare industry. Yeah.
Uh, Perfect. Just to kind of add on to that point, I'm curious to get your thoughts here. Hayden and I, we see so many news alerts, like, I feel like it's almost like a weekly occurrence of like, hey, there's a new latest model, or hey, there's this new model you could leverage on Bedrock. I'm kind of curious to get your thoughts here. Can you tell us more about some of the latest, models that are available for customers to use?
Yeah, so there's been quite a couple foundation models that have been released lately. I think the biggest one is Amazon Nova, their multi-model series. So they have a couple models in that. One micro, Nova Micro, which is a text-based model. Then there's Nova Lite and Pro, which is a multi-model that takes inputs of text, video, as well as images and outputs text. And then there is Nova Canvas for image generation and Nova Reel for video generation. So you can see they cover pretty much everything in this series. And the special thing about this one is that it's really built around not only just low latency, but cost efficiency as well. So I think Nova Lite is actually the lowest latency model on Bedrock, and the whole Nova series is the cheapest on Bedrock. And then, of course, there's a couple others, DeepSeek R1 distilled models, and in the past couple of days, they just released um, Cloud 3.7.
Yeah, and Ben, I'll jump in here because I want to double click on the Nova conversation. So this came up in our reInvent recap. If you have not watched that episode yet, go back and watch that. It's the first time Ben and I are kind of talking about this. Nova, from everything I'm seeing from my side, customers are loving the price point as well as just the intelligence that this is bringing to the foundation game. I'm really excited, and I said that when I originally read everything. Nova Canvas, Nova Reel. I work with M&E customers day in and day out in the enterprise space. Those two alone, not even in M&E, but across any industry, is really exciting because these are ways that you can really start to bring that state-of-the-art image generation, state-of-the-art video generation at a price point that is easily accessible for enterprises, startups, small medium businesses. I'm really excited to see what happens in this case as this continues to mature and become the standard. So, Nashita, a question for you leading off of that. All these choices. The biggest thing with AWS's Bedrock that I love is there's a lot of choice with Foundation. I have customers who love Claude. I have customers who love Meta. I have customers who want to play around with Nova. If I do not know where to go, how do I determine what model is the best fit for me when making this decision? I'm curious what your expertise is in that regard.
Yeah, so like you said, customers have different use cases and they like different models. And I think the best part about Bedrock is that you don't really need that much knowledge, at least in the technical aspect of it. And so this is why we have the AWS account teams as well as partners that can really help in that process from solution architecture frameworks all the way to implementation.
That's spot on. And, it's always exciting to see, especially like now being on the partner side, really helping navigate those customers, through this journey. I do got to go back to one of the points you said, right? There's so much excitement with a lot of the different items on Bedrock that you can leverage. But I do got to stop here. We're seeing so many headlines around this topic. DeepSeek. Can you tell us more about DeepSeek? Hayden and I were not the technical first persona, if you will, but can you help the audience really understand what DeepSeek is and how you could leverage it on Bedrock?
Yeah, so DeepSeek is a really high reasoning, powerful model. And I think what really sets this apart is its architecture. they use what we call a mixture of experts method, which essentially activates only a fraction of the total parameters that they use. So for reference, DeepSeek trained on 167 billion parameters. And so when you're actually making the inferences, they're only calling 37 billion of those. So you can see that's a really big difference. And so what this does is it firstly is less computational resources per query as well as less GPU. So that's kind of like the main thing that sets it apart. And on Bedrock, they have the R1 distilled models. So the best way to put it is as if R1 is the teacher and the distilled models are like the students. So the students are still retaining the most important information from the teacher model, except it's just a lot smaller. So it's more practical for business use case. And so they have the distilled models ranging from 1.5 billion parameters all the way to 70 billion parameters. And depending on how complex your use case is, you definitely want to go higher. So let's say chatbot, I think you're good with the 7 billion parameter model, but something more complex, maybe like a research assistant, 70 billion parameter model would work better.
So it seems like there's a lot of tailoring that's needed when making these decisions is what I'm seeing. And I could speak from our side with AWS, as I know we have a team that's working heavily to ensure that these models are available on Bedrock for our customers to leverage, which Ben, you alluded to it. It seems like every week a new model is coming out, which is exciting because it means the whole plateau of generative AI, the whole space continues to grow and adapt and become quicker, stronger, more price competitive, which is great for us consumers, and it really keeps businesses on their toes to adapt. So, speaking about businesses being on their toes and adapting to the ever-changing landscape, let's hear a little bit, Nashita, about if you have a customer top of mind. You don't have to name the customer, but just a customer top of mind that, let's say, is using Bedrock that is doing a pretty neat use case, or maybe a conversation that has stuck with you to help our listeners maybe ideate a little bit of how they can be leveraging Bedrock. I'd love to hear any and maybe have a conversation about that if you have them on the top of your head. I know we're kind of springing this on you, but curious.
Yeah, no, I think that the project that I'm working on right now is something that I'm really interested in. It's really bridging the AI and healthcare fields together, and that's something that I'm particularly interested in. So this project right now that I'm working on with the leading healthcare startup is essentially about creating a Chrome extension plugin that can generate AI answers based on conversation and chat history with patients and health coaches. On top of that, generating patient summaries as well. So we're leveraging Bedrock to do both of those things. Yeah, it's really cool.
That's very exciting, and I've been pretty close to that customer, and just seeing the amazing work that you firsthand have done. It's just exciting to really see that expertise come into play, and really the positive feedback that comes back from the customer. So appreciate all the hard work there. And that kind of segues into my last question for today. For customers who are a bit new to AWS, to the topics of Gen AI, what action should they take to really get the most out of this new technology?
Yeah, so again, I think like a really great part of AWS is that there's that support from beginning all the way to end, and including the frameworks and the implementations that are offered with AWS and partners. There's also possible funding programs that businesses might be able to apply for.
Absolutely. And talking about those funding programs a little bit, Ben, I know you and I have an extensive background with funding programs, from our time with small, medium business all the way up to enterprise, even our startup businesses. Funding is a mechanism, a funding mechanism at AWS that allows our customers to really prove the technology to the business side. A lot of these conversations I'm having, you have a technical idea that technical teams are driving, but at the same time, you have a business outcome that you're working towards. And if we can help fund that technical idea to show the business folks, hey, this technology that's called Bedrock that you might not be aware of can do something really neat. And AWS and Avahi, for example, are funding this build out. that helps our customers really drive home that initiative. So when you're thinking of these ideas and you're working with your account teams, just know there are funding mechanisms we can leverage to really make this idea a possibility and a reality. So start thinking about that. Have that conversation with your account team because there's a lot of partners who can build out a proof of concept at a low to almost no cost for you. That I know I'm leveraging this year for my customers because there's some ideas that the business folks just need to get up to speed on a little bit, and having that POC will really drive that narrative there. So, Ben, that's something that I'm focusing on this year. I'm sure the same
Yeah,
for you, right? Yeah.
100%, right? So even just yesterday, I had a meeting with a customer, and I guess the tone of the room, if you will, was a sigh of relief. Wow, we invested so much in, some of the different other models that's already in production, but I'm starting to see better performance out of Bedrock. Can I really do a proof of concept to really validate that?
Hmm.
And us taking the risk out when it comes to the financial piece really does help. Wow, okay, I could really do this and really figure out what's the best fit for me. So even within
Hmm.
that proof of concept, testing some of these new models is always exciting as well, and just really helping finding that perfect fit for the customer use case.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up, Ben, we're gonna fire out just some quick hitters with Bedrock here that were top of mind for me when kind of researching the meeting that I wanted to double click on. And Nashita also brought up some really good points around these. So, if anything today in the conversation, the biggest takeaway is choice. You have a lot of model choice with Bedrock, which is exciting, but it's also a bit overwhelming. So leverage the best practices Nashita mentioned. Really find a model that works for you and your needs that you're comfortable with and at a price point that makes it a justification for your business. The other thing that you think about too is Bedrock is a seamless integration with all your other services, right? So if you're already tied in with AWS, Bedrock's in the console and you can really have that all in one spot, which is extremely advantageous for that consolidated billing approach. And then lastly, just think of the security side, right? We have security measures that really offers those major standards for you. So if you're working with your applications, you're on that backbone of a secure network. So definitely remember that when using Bedrock. And I guess the last one, I know I said last one, but the pay per use model also, right? AWS follows the pay as you go pricing structure. So as you work through everything you're using, you're only paid for what you use. So this is really cost effective for businesses, when you're maintaining that AI infrastructure. And we have those cost sensitive, cost focused models like Nova that I cannot stress enough to definitely check out because these are cutting edge in this space. Ben, anything else you want to add before I wrap us up? What else you got for us?
Yeah, I do want to leave our audience with one last note, and this is kind of going back to that last question of what action should customers take today.
Hmm.
One item that I feel like we should mention, we have a full episode about it, is if you're starting at square one, the AWS has came out with the AI practitioner. We do have a full episode on the best ways to prepare for that and pass the exam. So if you are new to this topic, feel free to check out that episode and take that exam. It holds a lot of weight right now with how many folks are looking at AWS to accelerate their AI initiatives. With that being said, though, Nishida, any last thoughts on your side?
No, yeah, I completely agree with both your points. And again, thank you guys so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nishita. And everybody, please check out our YouTube page. Our videos are live there if you want to see our faces as we're speaking for a change of pace, but also on Spotify. We appreciate you watching, and we look forward to the next episode, and we'll talk to you all soon.